You know that feeling, waking up, and you're already exhausted, like before your day even really begins.
Oh, yeah.
That endless to-do list just looming over you, the phone buzzing constantly with notifications, and just this sense that you're always running on empty, no matter how hard you push yourself. And it's more than just, a bad day or even a bad week. It's this pervasive sense of dread almost, like you're utterly depleted.
Yeah.
You might be wondering, is this just stress? Or is it something, I don't know, deeper, more insidious maybe?
That's the key question, isn't it?
When I first started noticing this pattern, in myself and hearing it from others, I just thought, we have to talk about this.
Absolutely. It's so widespread.
So today, that's exactly what we're doing. We're taking a really deep dive into something so many of us experience, but maybe don't fully get. Workplace burnout. We're going to unpack its hidden signs, look into its roots, which are surprisingly complex, actually. Some things might genuinely surprise you.
Yeah, the causes aren't always obvious.
And most importantly, we want to arm you with some real actionable strategies.
Wow.
Things you can actually do to reclaim your energy, your focus, and, well, your peace.
Practical steps. That's crucial.
Yeah, this isn't just theory. We're talking about real shifts you can potentially make, like right now.
And what's fascinating here is that burnout isn't just about working really hard. That's a common misconception.
Right. It's not just long hours.
Not solely, no. It's more like the slow erosion of our well-being, a subtle leaching away of our vital energy. And it often goes unnoticed, until it's become a pretty significant challenge, a real undeniable problem.
Creeps up on you.
Exactly. So we'll explore how recognizing those early signals is probably the most critical first step. Because as we've seen countless times, when burnout goes unchecked, it just gradually strips away our sense of agency.
Agency.
Our joy, sometimes even our identity. It pushes us down this slippery slope towards, profound emotional and mental exhaustion.
Wow.
It's like a silent epidemic in many workplaces.
So whether you're out there battling that chronic fatigue, the kind where sleep doesn't even seem to help.
The unrefreshing sleep.
Yeah. Or you're wrestling with this new kind of unsettling irritability, snapping more often.
Little things get under your skin.
Exactly. Or maybe you're just feeling utterly overwhelmed by the sheer demands of your job. Stick with us.
Yeah, we've got insights to share.
We're here to cut through the noise, bypass the superficial advice and give you those vital nuggets of knowledge, the stuff that can make a real tangible difference in your daily life.
Actionable intelligence.
And, yeah, we'll sprinkle in some surprising facts, promise. And just enough humor to keep you hooked because, hey, even serious topics deserve a little light, right?
Definitely helps.
Okay, so let's start right at the foundation. We often throw around the term burnout and stress, almost like they mean the same thing.
Right, interchangeably.
But they're really distinct, aren't they? Stress, that can be temporary, right? Like that rush of adrenaline when you've got a deadline or some big challenge.
Yeah, stress can even be motivating sometimes in short bursts. It gets you going.
But burnout, that feels like a completely different beast altogether. You mentioned it's a gradual process, not something that just hits you overnight.
Precisely. You've absolutely hit on the key distinction there. While stress is often characterized by too many demands, too much pressure, right?
Oh, yeah.
And you feel maybe overly engaged, even agitated sometimes.
Hyper-focused almost.
Yeah, maybe. But burnout is defined by too little. It's this profound state of emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion, a feeling of being completely emptied out.
Emptied out, that resonates.
And you're right, it doesn't develop overnight. It's a slow burn. It accumulates over weeks, months, sometimes even years.
Wow, years.
And this gradual, almost imperceptible erosion. That's why it's become such a significant challenge in today's, relentlessly fast-paced, performance-driven world.
It really is relentless.
And we live in this culture of upward comparisons, don't we? We're constantly looking at others, measuring ourselves against people who, from the outside, seem to be achieving more, pushing harder, doing it all so effortlessly.
The social media effect, partly?
Absolutely. It's like we're perpetually scrolling through this curated highlight reel of everyone else's best moments, and that can leave us feeling, perpetually inadequate, like we're constantly falling short.
Yeah, that pressure is immense.
And then, to compound that, far too often, we find ourselves buried under this growing mountain of work, often with little to no real institutional support from our organization.
Feeling alone with it.
Exactly. It's a recipe for profound, prolonged depletion. Just wears you down.
That makes total sense. Feeling like you're constantly playing catch up in this impossible race, especially when you feel like you're doing it totally alone. Yeah, that is bound to lead to this kind of exhaustion. So that leads us to the really crucial question. Are you, listening right now, experiencing burnout? Many of us know the common signs, but let's just quickly confirm them and then maybe dig into the subtleties that make them so insidious.
Good idea.
What stands out to you from these common indicators? Do any of these really resonate with your own experience?
It's a powerful question to ask yourself, honestly, because the subtle whispers of burnout often start long before they become a scream.
Right. Catching it early.
That's the key. The first, and maybe the most pervasive sign, is chronic fatigue. And this isn't just being tired after a long day.
Right.
It's waking up exhausted, even after what you thought was a full night's sleep. Your battery just never seems to recharge fully.
Ugh, I know that feeling.
It's that feeling of having this permanent cloud of weariness just hanging over you.
Right.
It signals that your body and mind really aren't recovering no matter how much rest you try to get.
And that fatigue.
Yeah.
It can make everything else feel harder, right? Like, I know for me, after a really draining day, even something silly like a perpetually jammed printer can feel like a personal attack.
Chuckles. Oh, absolutely. And that brings us perfectly to the next sign. Increased irritability.
Ah, yes. The short fuse.
Exactly. Those small inconveniences that you might normally just shrug off, suddenly they feel like major frustrations.
Totally disproportionate reactions.
Yeah. You might find yourself snapping at loved ones, getting easily annoyed by colleagues, or suddenly having a really short fuse for things that wouldn't normally bother you at all.
Mm-hmm.
This often stems from a depleted emotional reservoir. I mean, when you're running on empty, your capacity for patience, for tolerance, it's just severely diminished.
Makes sense.
It's a clear signal that your emotional reserves are in the red. You're operating on fumes, essentially.
And when that emotional well starts to run dry, I guess the desire to even engage with things also dries up.
Indeed. A profound lack of motivation is another key sign. Tasks that once brought you satisfaction, maybe even joy.
Yeah, things you used to love doing.
Exactly. Those things you used to dive into with enthusiasm, now they just feel overwhelmingly pointless. Or like an impossible burden. The spark is just gone.
That's worrying.
It is. When your work, or even parts of your personal life, no longer ignite that intrinsic desire to engage, it suggests a deeper disconnect. A profound loss of engagement that goes way beyond simple boredom or just temporary disinterest. It's this dispiriting kind of apathy.
And burnout can also show up in ways we might not immediately connect to our job, right? Like sometimes physically.
That's spot on. Burnout can absolutely lead to tangible physical symptoms. We're talking persistent headaches, maybe various digestive issues, or noticeable changes in your sleep patterns and appetite.
Your body is keeping score.
Your body is quite literally screaming for help. It's trying to communicate the immense internal stress it's under. Think of it like your body's version of a warning light flashing on your car's dashboard.
Check engine light for your soul.
Chuckles, exactly. Yeah. It's telling you something isn't right under the hood. You need to pay attention.
And finally, a really heartbreaking symptom for many, isolation.
Yes. This one is tough. You might find yourself withdrawing from friends, from family, from social obligations, even things you once genuinely enjoyed doing.
The effort just feels too much.
It does. The thought of engaging with people just feels too exhausting, like it requires too much effort you simply don't have. When you lose the desire for social connection, which is such a fundamental human need, it's a very strong indicator of burnout.
So these signs, they're not just minor things to push through.
Absolutely not. They aren't just minor inconveniences. They're your body and mind sending clear, undeniable distress signals, a red flag waving furiously.
Okay.
Paying attention to them, truly listening to what they're telling you is critical, because ignoring them is like ignoring that check engine light. You're just hoping for the best while potentially causing much bigger damage down the line.
The consequences can be severe.
Severe and far-reaching, yes.
Yeah. Okay, so we've identified what burnout feels like, those sneaky ways it can manifest. Now, let's unpack this a bit. What exactly is fueling this fire? What are the common causes of job burnout that push us into this state of utter depletion? It seems like it's often a complex mix, right? Not just one thing.
It absolutely is a confluence of factors, rarely just one single culprit. One major sort of foundational contributor is often a pervasive lack of control.
Lack of control. Okay.
This means not having much say in crucial aspects of your job. Things like your schedule, maybe the specific assignments you get, or the overall workload you're expected to handle.
Feeling like you're just a cog.
Exactly. It can also stem from lacking the necessary resources, whether that's the right tools, proper training, or even just enough time to do your work effectively. When you feel like you have no genuine agency over your output or your process, it's incredibly draining.
Yeah, I could see that.
It just chips away at your sense of autonomy, your sense of competence.
That makes perfect sense. Feeling powerless over your day-to-day professional life. That's bound to be frustrating, demoralizing even. But beyond the sort of structural stuff, what about the human element? How do our interactions with colleagues and bosses feed into this?
Great question.
And what about when you're not even sure what's expected of you? That must be stressful.
Ah, yes, the dreaded lack of clarity about what's expected. That is a huge factor. If you're constantly uncertain about what your boss expects or what your colleagues need from you, or even where your role truly ends and somebody else's begins.
Yeah, where are the lines?
Exactly. It creates this perpetual state of anxiety. You're never quite sure if you're doing a good job or even what good looks like in that context, and that actively erodes your sense of competence and confidence.
Like trying to hit a moving target in the dark.
That's a perfect analogy. Exhausting and ultimately demoralizing. And you're right, interpersonal dynamics at work can certainly make things exponentially worse. Conflicts with others can be incredibly draining. They can turn the workplace from ideally a collaborative environment into this sort of low-level battleground, whether you're dealing with, say, an office bully or feeling like coworkers are actively working against you, or maybe you have a micromanaging boss who's over-involved in every tiny detail.
A micromanager.
These conflicts just add immense job stress. They constantly deplete your emotional energy, leaving you feeling on edge all the time.
And what's really fascinating, it may be counterintuitive for a lot of people, is that both extremes of workload, like whether you're totally drowning or you're bored to tears, both can actually lead to the same place.
Yeah.
Burnout.
You're touching on a really interesting point there. It's like the Goldilocks principle of workload. Being overwhelmed by demands where you simply cannot keep up, feeling like you're constantly treading water. That's an obvious path to burnout, right?
I don't think so.
But conversely, being bored by a monotonous job that offers no challenge, no stimulation, no real opportunity for growth, that also requires excessive energy just to stay focused, just to stay engaged.
Fighting the boredom.
Exactly. When you're overwhelmed, you're fighting against the clock and the sheer volume. When you're underwhelmed, you're fighting against mental stagnation and that struggle to maintain engagement. Both scenarios are deeply fatiguing, just in different ways.
Wow. Okay, so not too much, not too little. Feeling isolated often comes up as well. It's almost like this self-fulfilling prophecy with burnout, where the symptoms make you isolate yourself, and then the isolation fuels the burnout even more.
Precisely. A profound lack of support plays a significant, often underestimated role. If you feel alone at work with no one to really lean on for help or understanding,
Yeah.
and then you maybe extend that feeling to a perceived lack of support in your personal life as well, that isolation can amplify stress and accelerate burnout dramatically.
We need connection.
Fundamentally, humans are social creatures. We thrive on connection and belonging. When those connections are absent or feel inadequate, it leaves this gaping hole in our emotional reserves, makes us much more vulnerable.
And then there's the classic one, work-life balance. We hear about it all the time. It's almost a buzzword now.
Chuckles. It is.
But it's clearly a fundamental piece of this puzzle that we just can't ignore.
It is perhaps the most commonly cited cause, and for good reason. Problems with work-life balance happen when your job consumes so much of your time and energy that you have absolutely nothing left. Nothing for your family, your friends, or even just for yourself.
No time to recharge?
No space for recovery, for joy, for maintaining an identity outside of work. This imbalance directly leaves that pervasive sense of being perpetually drained, like you're running on fumes constantly.
It really makes you think.
It does. And this raises an important question for all of us, I think. How much of what we perceive as our own individual failure or weakness, that feeling of I just can't handle this, is actually a symptom of systemic issues within our work environments?
Right. It's not always just us.
Exactly. These factors we've discussed, lack of control, unclear expectations, conflict, workload extremes, isolation, poor balance, they aren't just minor annoyances. They actively, relentlessly erode our emotional and mental well-being. They directly contribute to burnout. They just chip away at us piece by piece until we're left feeling utterly empty.
So if you're experiencing these signs and these underlying causes are really hitting home for you, what does this all mean if you just do nothing? What's the true price of ignoring burnout? Because it's clearly not just about feeling a bit tired or stressed, is it?
No, it's far, far more profound than that. The cost of unaddressed job burnout is incredibly steep. It impacts not just your professional life, but truly every single facet of your existence. If you do nothing, you'll likely find yourself feeling perpetually drained, just unable to cope with even minor stressors.
Like your baseline resilience is just gone.
Completely gone. It's like trying to run a marathon on an empty tank, endlessly, with no finish line even in sight. And this isn't just a mental state, it affects your entire physical being.
And the consequences can be quite severe.
Right.
Extending way beyond just how you feel mentally,
Yeah.
down to your actual physical health.
Absolutely. You could experience severe sleep problems, for instance. Struggling to fall asleep, maybe stay asleep, or waking up feeling completely unrefreshed, just perpetually unrested no matter how long you were in bed.
That feeds into everything else.
It does. Emotionally, you might find yourself cycling through intense sadness, maybe anger, definitely irritability, often coupled with this general sense of not caring, a kind of chilling apathy that can be quite disturbing to experience.
Disconnected.
Very disconnected. And this profound emotional distress can tragically sometimes lead to increased reliance on alcohol or other substances as a coping mechanism, which only compounds the problem in the long run and creates whole new dependencies.
A dangerous path.
Extremely dangerous. And then there are the physical tolls, which are genuinely alarming. They affect your long-term health in really tangible ways.
Okay, like what specifically?
Well, neglecting burnout significantly increases your physical health risks. We're talking about a higher likelihood of developing serious chronic conditions. Things like heart disease, high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes.
Wow, those are serious.
Very serious. Furthermore, your immune system can become severely compromised. It makes you generally more susceptible to every passing illness, from the common cold to more serious infections. Your body's defenses are just down.
You're just more vulnerable.
Exactly. So if we connect this to the bigger picture, neglecting burnout doesn't just affect your work performance or your mood, it fundamentally impacts every facet of your life and your long-term health trajectory. It's not just about feeling bad. It's about tangible, measurable detriments to your physical and mental well-being that can have lasting, potentially irreversible consequences. It's truly a health crisis in slow motion for many people.
Okay, this next part. When I first encountered this research on working hours, it really shifted my perspective. Because what's remarkable is that the relationship between how much you work and your mental health, it isn't a straight line at all.
No, it's definitely not linear.
It's actually U-shaped. And the science behind it is absolutely fascinating. For years, we've kind of had this simplistic idea, right? That more work equals more stress and worse mental health. Period.
That's been the common wisdom, yeah.
But recent large-scale research gives us a much, much more nuanced picture.
It really does. This research, it was based on a really comprehensive national survey. And they used quite sophisticated methods, even looking at things like how automation might indirectly influence work hours to truly dig deep. They wanted to understand the cause and effect link between how much we work and our perceived mental well-being, especially looking at depression.
Cause and effect, not just correlation.
Precisely. And what they found fundamentally contradicts that simple linear assumption you just mentioned. Mental disorders, specifically depression, actually first decrease as working hours increase.
Wait, hang on. So working more initially makes you less depressed. That seems incredibly counterintuitive, like it goes against everything we think we know about stress and overwork.
It does sound surprising on the surface, I agree. But it actually makes perfect sense when you consider the benefits that work provides, but only within a certain optimal range.
Okay, explain that.
Well, within that initial segment of the U-curve, say, going from not working or working very few hours up to a moderate amount, increased working hours can significantly boost an individual's sense of self-worth.
Okay, feeling productive, valued?
Exactly. You feel more productive, more valuable, more engaged, more purposeful. It can also help maintain moderate social interactions in a work setting, which prevents the kind of isolation that can really contribute to depression.
Right, structure and connection.
Yes. And of course, it usually leads to higher income, which can profoundly reduce financial stress and significantly improve overall life satisfaction and your access to resources, healthcare, better living conditions.
All things that boost mental health.
Absolutely. So up to a certain point, work provides structure, purpose, community, and financial security that are genuinely beneficial for mental health.
So there's a sweet spot then, a kind of productive equilibrium where work actually enhances your well-being rather than detracting from it.
That's exactly it. There's an optimal range.
But if you push past that sweet spot, if you cross that invisible line on the U-curve, what happens then?
That's where the U turns upwards. The study reveals a very specific turning point, After working more than approximately 48.688 hours per week, remarkably precise, isn't it?
Wow, 48.688. That's
But
still thick.
it is. After that point, further increases in working time lead to a positive relationship with depression, meaning beyond that threshold, your mental health actively starts to worsen.
So more hours equals more depression after that point.
Correct. And what's truly remarkable, almost an endorsement of existing standards, is that this turning point aligns almost perfectly with the International Labor Organization's ILO standard of a 48-hour working week.
No kidding. The ILO standard.
Yes. It effectively provides a robust scientific justification for that long-standing standard, but specifically from a mental health perspective. It suggests that, on average, beyond 48 hours, the mental health costs significantly outweigh any potential benefits we just discussed.
Okay, so why the sharp decline after that peak? What's the mechanism driving that? Why does it suddenly turn detrimental after roughly 48 hours?
Well, beyond this threshold, several critical factors really start to kick in and take a toll. Long working hours inevitably result in chronic fatigue and severe sleep deprivation. Your body and mind simply can't recover adequately day after day.
The exhaustion accumulates.
It does. This leads to dramatically increased psychological stress, that feeling of being perpetually overwhelmed and fundamentally unable to cope with the demands of your life, both work and personal.
Feeling like you're drowning.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And crucially, it severely weakens your social support systems because you have less and less time and energy to engage meaningfully with friends, with family, with your community.
You withdraw.
You withdraw, or you simply don't have the bandwidth. This social erosion then leads to profound isolation, which, as we've already discussed, is a huge contributor to burnout and depression.
It all connects.
It really does. So this isn't about laziness, not at all. It's about finding that sweet spot where work enhances life rather than draining it dry. It's about recognizing that there's a biological and psychological limit to how much productive, healthy work our minds and bodies can sustain without incurring significant, often irreversible costs.
That 48.688-hour mark is just incredibly precise, almost unnerving. But as you said, it's an average, right? This isn't likely a one-size-fits-all situation. The impact of long hours must vary dramatically depending on who you are, your background, your circumstances.
You've hit on a critical point. It's absolutely not one size fits all. The research then breaks down these differences, they call it heterogeneities, across various groups. And what they reveal about vulnerability is truly insightful.
Okay, so who is most vulnerable when it comes to the perils of overwork? Let's dig into those differences.
Right. Let's start with gender differences. Perhaps surprisingly, the study found that men actually show a higher level of depression when working overtime compared to women.
Really? Men more than women. That goes against some stereotypes.
It does. And the researchers speculate this could potentially be due to deeply ingrained societal and cultural pressures on men to be the primary breadwinners.
Ah, that provider pressure.
Exactly. Leading to greater financial responsibility and psychological stress when they feel they need to work longer hours to meet those expectations, maybe regardless of the actual financial necessity or personal cost. It's a heavy mantle to carry.
That's a fascinating finding. What about age? Does our tolerance for overwork change as we get older? Do we get better at handling it or worse?
The data suggests we get worse at handling it, actually. It shows that older workers have a lower tolerance for overwork stress. Their turning point for increased depression is significantly smaller. It kicks in around 44.966 hours per week.
So, fewer hours before it becomes detrimental for them.
Yes, compared to younger workers whose turning point is higher, up around 53.353 hours.
Wow, that's a big difference. Almost 9 hours.
It is significant. It suggests that as we age, our physical and maybe mental capacity to buffer against the negative impacts of excessive work diminishes. Perhaps it's cumulative fatigue over a career, or simply less physical resilience. It makes sustained long hours more detrimental to our mental health.
A call for employers to be mindful of age diversity and workload for sure.
Definitely.
Okay, and what about education? Does being highly educated offer some sort of protection, maybe better coping skills, or does it make you more susceptible?
It's a bit of both, actually, which is quite interesting. Highly educated individuals seem to have a smaller turning point. They hit that depressive threshold at fewer hours than less educated individuals. So in that sense, they're more sensitive to working longer.
Okay, more sensitive?
Yeah.
But is there an upside?
Yes, here's the nuance. If they manage to stay below their optimal hours, their overall depression level is lower than less educated counterparts working similar optimal hours.
Ah,
This could be attributed to generally better working environments, maybe more autonomy in their roles, higher intrinsic job satisfaction when they're working within that optimal range, or perhaps they're just more tuned into their own well-being and have more agency to adjust their hours.
So potentially more sensitive to overwork, but also maybe in jobs that are better for their mental health if the hours are managed correctly.
Cool.
Interesting. What about socioeconomic status? Does wealth act as a buffer? Can you just buy your way out of burnout?
Well, not exactly buy your way out, but it certainly helps. For those with higher socioeconomic status, the research indicates they experience lower levels of depression even after exceeding those optimal working hours.
So the negative impact is less severe for them.
It appears so. This suggests that access to superior resources, whether that's better healthcare, childcare, more flexible support systems, the ability to delegate non-work tasks, or even just the privilege to choose less demanding work environments if needed.
Like options.
Options, exactly. And perhaps more effective social support networks. All these can act as significant buffers against the mental health toll of long hours. They simply have more tools, more resources at their disposal to mitigate the negative effects and recover more quickly.
That's a powerful point about the privilege that comes with resources. Are there also regional differences, or maybe differences based on migration status? Does that change the U-curve?
Yes, quite notably. For rural residents, for example, the U-shaped curve is flatter, and that upward trend after the turning point is not prominent. It doesn't shoot up as sharply.
Why might that be?
The researchers suggest this could be linked to their potentially increased willingness to work more hours for higher income in certain economic structures, where maybe the immediate financial benefits are perceived to outweigh the mental health costs, or perhaps there's just a different cultural expectation around work hours in rural settings that normalizes longer days.
Okay. And migrants?
Conversely, migrants and those with better overall baseline health status seem to demonstrate a greater tolerance to overwork. They experience lower perceived mental disorders even when exceeding the optimal working time.
Higher resilience there.
It could be higher baseline resilience, yes. Or perhaps different motivations and priorities for working, like supporting family back home, which can provide a powerful sense of purpose that acts as its own kind of buffer against the stress.
Wow. It's clear that individual circumstances really do significantly alter this relationship between work hours and well-being. So thinking broadly now, for individuals and organizations alike, are there any bigger protective factors? Things beyond these specific demographics that can help soften the blow of overwork for everyone?
Absolutely, and this is crucial for policy implications. The research highlights that robust labor protection and social security systems help to weaken mental disorders caused by overtime work.
So strong safety nets matter.
Immensely. This underscores the vital role of broader societal and organizational support systems, legal frameworks protecting workers' rights, access to healthcare, unemployment benefits. All these safety nets buffer individuals from the negative mental health impacts of overwork.
It really puts the onus not just on the individual, but on the systems.
Exactly. And it raises an important question for workplaces and policymakers everywhere. How can we acknowledge and effectively address these varied needs to foster healthier working conditions for everyone? Recognizing that a blanket policy, like just saying work 40 hours, might not serve all groups equally well. It's a complex puzzle, but one with really clear implications for population well-being.
So we've explored the depth of burnout, the surprisingly nuanced science of overwork. Now the really crucial part, what can you, listening right now, actually do? Today, at your desk, maybe in your car on the commute, or even just sitting quietly in your head for a few minutes. How do you start finding that peace? And it seems like it begins fundamentally with mindfulness.
Mindfulness is incredibly powerful, and the great thing is it's not some abstract, mystical concept you need years to master. It's a practical skill. It's surprisingly easy to practice throughout your workday, and it can profoundly impact your well-being. It can make you happier, calmer, and significantly more focused.
Happier, calmer, more focused. Sounds good.
Right. The core insight here is that mindfulness isn't really about doing more, but about being more present. It's about training your brain gently to find calm and clarity, even amidst the chaos of modern life.
Training your brain. I like that. So let's look at some practical ways to actually integrate it. Give us some concrete techniques, things we can literally try today.
Okay, absolutely. First, there's something called mindful appreciation. This is a really simple exercise, but it's great for fostering contentment and gratitude, which are antidotes to that feeling of lack.
Okay, how does it work?
Just take a few minutes seriously, even just 2 or 3, to acknowledge things you normally take for granted. It could be anything. your cozy comforter you left this morning, your car that reliably gets you where you need to go, your sweet cat waiting at home, or even something as simple as I don't know, the amazing space heater near your desk on a chilly day. The little things. The little things. Just pause. Think about these things, what they actually add to your life, and allow yourself to truly appreciate them. You can even briefly imagine life without them. This helps shift your perspective and feel more grateful, pulling you out of that deficit mindset, that feeling of not enough.
That's a great way to start the day, maybe. Or even just reset during it if things get stressful. What about right in the moment, though? When things get hectic, when your mind starts racing a mile a minute?
Then you want mindful breathing. This is your go-to portable calm button. It's a simple meditation technique you can do literally anywhere, right at your desk, in the bathroom stall, even during a short elevator ride.
Okay, talk us through it.
Just sit comfortably, maybe close your eyes if you can. Breathe in slowly through your nose, maybe for a count of 3 or 4 seconds. Then exhale slowly through your mouth, perhaps for a slightly longer count. The real key is to focus.
Just on the breath.
Exactly. Don't think about anything else except your breathing, the sensation of the air entering and leaving your body, maybe the rise and fall of your chest or abdomen. Now, when stray thoughts inevitably come into your mind, and they will, that's totally natural.
Yeah, my mind wanders immediately.
Everyone's does. Just acknowledge the thought without judgment, like, thinking, and then gently guide your focus back to your breath. Start with just 2 or 3 minutes. Maybe gradually build up to 5 or 10 minutes if you can. Use shorter sessions for quick resets during the day, and maybe longer ones to begin or end your workday.
Okay, portable calm button. I like that. And we often hear about the importance of taking breaks. But how does that tie into mindfulness? Isn't it just about, stepping away from the computer screen for a bit?
It's more than just stepping away. Your brain genuinely gets foggy when you're intensely focused on one task for too long without interruption. Taking breaks actually helps you maintain a state of mindfulness by giving your brain a little reset.
A mental palate cleanser.
Precisely. Even just a few minutes walking away from your desk, doing a quick stretch, looking out the window at something distant can help your brain digest information, maybe consolidate learning, and renew its focus. Those long, uninterrupted stretches of work can actually decrease your productivity and make you more prone to errors.
Counterintuitive, but makes sense.
So a short mindful break isn't a luxury, it's actually a strategic move to optimize your mental performance and your well-being. Think of it like hitting the refresh button on your internal browser.
Okay, refresh button. Got it. Now, I'm definitely guilty of this next one. Rushing through tasks just to get to the next thing on the list, trying to clear the decks. How can mindfulness help there?
The tyranny of the to-do list. That's where mindful immersion comes in. And it can be truly transformative. You have to consciously counter that urge to rush.
Easier said than done.
Chuckles. It takes practice. But when you're engaged in a task, any task, try to let go of everything else except the feeling of what you're doing in that very moment. Instead of worrying about how quickly you can finish it to move on, stop and try to savor the moment.
Savor. Writing an email.
Well, maybe not savor the email itself, but feel the keyboard beneath your fingers. Notice the words appearing on the screen. If you're drinking coffee while doing it, truly taste the coffee. Make a conscious decision to focus on the physicality, the details, the sensory experience of doing the task. Don't allow your mind to wander off to your inbox or the meeting you have later. By truly immersing yourself, even in mundane tasks, you'll often feel more content, you'll actually do better quality work, and you'll significantly reduce your anxiety level because you're not mentally juggling 10 things.
Okay, mindful immersion. Focus on the now. What about the constant push for multitasking? Everyone seems to expect it. Is that a friend or foe to mindfulness? Because it feels like the opposite.
A definite foe. Mindful focus actively combats multitasking, and the research is clear. Multitasking actually increases your stress level and paradoxically reduces your ability to focus effectively. You make more errors, things take longer overall, and you get less done well.
Wow, okay, so it's less efficient.
Much less efficient. Your heart rate even increases when you're trying to multitask. The practice here is simple in concept, but profound in effect. Choose one activity and stick with it until it's done, or until a planned break. Push other distractions out of your mind. Stay on that one task, thinking only about what you're doing in the moment. This strengthens your concentration muscle, dramatically improves the quality of your work, and helps you appreciate the task itself more. It's about doing one thing well, rather than 5 things poorly.
One thing well. Okay, these are great practical, in-the-moment techniques. What about more generalized mental attitudes, like shifts in perspective that mindfulness can help cultivate?
That brings us to practice acceptance. This is a big one. It's just not realistic to try to go through life without feeling some negative emotions sometimes. We're human. Yeah. Stress happens. Frustration happens.
Right, you can't just switch them off.
Exactly. So when you're feeling stressed or upset, instead of fighting it or pushing it away or judging yourself harshly for feeling it, I shouldn't feel this way, try deciding to simply accept the feelings you're having.
Accept them. Doesn't that mean giving in?
Not at all. Acceptance isn't about resignation or wallowing. It's about acknowledging the emotion without letting it completely consume you. It's like saying, okay, I feel stressed right now. That's what's happening. This acceptance actually allows your mind to then move towards a solution or coping strategy instead of just dwelling on the problem or fighting the feeling itself. It helps you return to a more content, proactive state much faster.
Okay, acknowledge it, don't fight it. Oh, got it. And what about how we interact with others at work? That's such a huge source of stress for so many people, especially when there are miscommunications or conflicts.
Indeed. Mindfulness extends to our interactions too. A key skill here is to engage in active listening. This is vital for all areas of your life, not just the office, and it's a cornerstone of healthy relationships and therefore reduced stress.
Active listening. What does that really mean in practice?
It means giving your undivided attention. Put your phone away, make eye contact, nod, maybe smile at appropriate times to show you're engaged. But the crucial part is, listen to what the speaker is actually saying. Don't assume you already know their point before they finish, and definitely don't spend the time they're talking composing your witty response in your head.
Chuckles. Guilty as charged sometimes.
We all are. Resist that urge to interrupt or correct immediately. And try not to turn every conversation into an opportunity to talk about yourself. People can genuinely tell when you're truly listening versus just waiting for your turn to speak. It builds much stronger relationships, fosters trust, and significantly reduces stress caused by miscommunication and misunderstanding.
That's huge. Yeah. Okay, finally, in our always-on, hyper-connected world, there's one more vital practice. It's often overlooked, maybe because it feels countercultural, but it could be the most impactful for some people.
Ah, yes. You must mean mindfully unplugging. This is critical. We need to consciously disconnect from the constant barrage of distractions. The radio chatter, the TV news, the endless scrolling on our cell phones, the constant pinging of email notifications.
The digital noise.
Exactly. These constant demands on our attention, the buzzing and pinging, they can actually make us more impatient, more forgetful, and they add significantly to our cognitive load and stress level. Spending some time truly unplugged, even just for a mindful breathing exercise or a short walk without your phone, can dramatically boost your productivity when you do return and make you feel much more relaxed overall.
It feels counterproductive not to be checking, but you're saying it's the opposite.
It is counterproductive to try to work effectively while constantly monitoring notifications. Try turning off the radio in the car on the way home from work. Just enjoy the silence, take the time to clear your head, focus on your breathing, maybe just the feeling of your hands on the steering wheel. Or try leaving your phone in another room for the first hour after you get home.
Small steps.
Small, intentional steps. These mindfulness practices, appreciation, breathing, breaks, immersion, focus, acceptance, listening, unplugging, they aren't just nice-to-haves. They are essential tools for mental agility. They are practices that literally retrain your brain to be present, to focus, and to calm itself, even amidst the everyday chaos. They allow you to regain control of your attention, which is maybe our most precious resource.
Okay, so if mindfulness is our internal compass, helping us navigate the inner chaos and find calm, then boundaries, they must be our external shield, right? Our personal force field. They seem absolutely critical to preventing burnout. Why are they so profoundly important, especially in this modern work landscape where work seems to bleed into everything?
They're absolutely fundamental. Boundaries protect your most valuable finite resources, your time and your energy. They allow you to reserve those resources for the things that truly matter most to you, whether that's your core work responsibilities, your well-being, your family, or your personal passions.
Protecting your time and energy.
Exactly. There was research published in the Journal of Organizational Behavior, I believe, which found that employees who reported having clear boundaries between their work and personal lives, They were significantly less likely to ruminate or think about work outside of actual work hours.
They could switch off.
They could mentally disengage.
Mhm.
And this ability to create that clear separation, it acts as a really important buffer against stress. It prevents work from infiltrating and consuming your entire life 204/7. It's essentially about building a fortress around your personal peace and recovery time.
Building a fortress. I like that image. So it's about drawing clear, intentional lines, not just kind of wishing things were different. What are the essential types of boundaries we really need to think about setting, maybe in different areas of our lives?
Yeah, categorizing them can make them easier to identify where you might need them, and then easier to set and understand their impact. First, there's your mental boundary.
Okay, mental.
This is about deciding what you will and won't spend your precious mental energy thinking about. It involves actively choosing not to ruminate endlessly on work issues after hours or replaying negative interactions with a colleague over and over again. It's about guarding your mental space.
Okay, choosing what thoughts to engage with.
Precisely. Then there's the crucial time boundary. This is about how much time you will give to specific tasks, to requests from others, and to other people's priorities. And crucially, when you will give that time.
Saying no to late nights.
Exactly. It's about saying no to staying late when you've already put in your contracted hours, or making a conscious choice not to check emails first thing in the morning or last thing at night, or definitely not on your day off, protecting your non-work time.
I imagine emotional boundaries are a particularly tough one for many people, especially if you're naturally empathetic or maybe work in a helping profession. It seems so easy to just absorb everyone else's problems.
They are perhaps one of the most challenging to define and maintain effectively. Emotional boundaries define the extent to which you take on other people's emotional burdens or feel responsible for their feelings.
Okay.
It's about offering support, kindness, and empathy, which are wonderful things, but without becoming completely drained or overwhelmed yourself by their problems. It's knowing where their emotional baggage ends and where your responsibility begins, or rather, where it doesn't.
Knowing your limits, then there are more tangible ones.
Yes. We have material boundaries. This covers how, when, or even if you use your own personal property or finances for work purposes.
Like buying your own pens.
Chuckles. Could be pens. Or not supplying your own office stationery consistently. Not paying for client lunches out of your own pocket if it's clearly a company expense. Or refusing to use your personal phone for work calls extensively without reimbursement or a company phone. Protecting your wallet and possessions.
And personal space.
Yeah.
That's vital for just feeling comfortable and safe at work, but maybe often overlooked.
Yes. Your physical boundary defines your personal space, who is and isn't allowed in it, and in what ways people are allowed to physically interact with you. It's about respecting your own comfort zone, your personal bubble in the workplace, and maintaining it.
Right. And conversations, too.
Absolutely. There's the conversational boundary. This dictates the topics you will and won't engage in at work, or maybe the time you will and won't engage in certain conversations. This helps prevent you from getting pulled into unproductive gossip, endless political debates, or being forced to discuss personal matters you'd really rather keep private.
Steering clear of the drama.
Essentially, yes, protecting your focus and your peace.
And the big one, the elusive yet absolutely critical home life boundary. It sounds so simple, but it's often the first one to just crumble under pressure.
This one is absolutely crucial for long-term well-being. It's about what you will and won't allow to interrupt your time with your friends or family. Protecting that sacred personal time, whether it's your evening meal together, weekend activities, your kids' bedtime routine, or your actual vacation time. This is where your identity outside of work gets to breathe and be nurtured.
So important. Any others?
Just a couple more key ones. There's the role boundary. This is about being really clear on what you will and won't do when delegating work to others, or maybe when others try to delegate to you inappropriately. It's about defining your core responsibilities and sticking to them, not taking on everyone else's monkeys.
Not your circus, not your monkeys.
Facts don't. Chuckles. Exactly. And finally, in this ever-connected digital age, the social media boundary is increasingly vital. Are you expected to use your own personal social media accounts for work promotion? If you're responsible for managing company social media, will you keep those apps on your personal phone, constantly blurring the lines between your personal and professional life? Setting clear rules around this is key.
Wow. Okay. Thinking about boundaries in all those specific categories is really helpful. It gives you a framework. But knowing what boundaries are is one thing. Actually setting them in the moment when you're put on the spot by a boss or a colleague, that's another challenge entirely.
It really is. That's where the rubber meets the road.
So what does this all mean when you're actually faced with a request or a situation that pushes your limits? Can you give us some practical examples, like actual words we can use, what to say and how to say it effectively, but also professionally?
Absolutely. Having a few go-to phrases ready in your back pocket can make all the difference. It empowers you to respond thoughtfully rather than just reacting emotionally or giving in automatically.
Okay, give us some scripts. Let's say you're going on holiday, time with family, but there's a risk someone might contact you about an important project. How do you handle that proactively?
Okay, good scenario. You can proactively set the boundary before you leave. You could say something like, I know you can appreciate that time with family is really important to me and that I won't be contactable while I'm away from start date to end date. However, if you have any urgent questions about Project X during that time, my colleague Joe Blogs is fully up to speed and will be able to cover while I'm away. I've already briefed him on anything critical.
Okay, that's clear, firm, but also helpful. It offers a solution.
Exactly. You're stating your unavailability, but also showing responsibility by ensuring coverage.
What about those incessant work WhatsApp group notifications? The ones that buzz late into evening or all weekend, constantly pulling you back into work mode when you're trying to relax.
Ugh, the tyranny of the group chat. For those late night or weekend conversations, you can politely but firmly state in the group, maybe during work hours. Hey team, I find this group really helpful for solving problems quickly when I'm away from my desk during the day. Just wanted to let you know that during the evenings and weekends, to make sure I properly switch off and recharge, I'm going to be muting the notifications and generally ignoring the app. I'll definitely pick up the thread and catch up on anything I've missed when I'm back in work mode on Monday morning.
Sets a clear expectation, models healthy behavior too.
Precisely. And it normalizes switching off.
Okay, here's a classic. The last-minute urgent request that lands on your desk at 4:55 p.m. on a Friday, right when you're about to leave, especially if you have a family commitment you absolutely cannot miss. That's a common pressure point.
Oh yes, the Friday afternoon special. This tests your time boundary. You could say, okay, I understand this is urgent. I can definitely help you with this for the next hour, but just to let you know up front, I will need to leave promptly at 6 p.m. as I have an important non-negotiable family engagement to get to.
So you offer help, but state the limit clearly.
Exactly. You're demonstrating willingness to help within reasonable limits, but clearly stating your non-negotiable departure time. It shows commitment without sacrificing your personal life entirely.
What if a colleague starts venting at you, going into a long, really emotionally draining monologue about their problems, but you're already feeling completely tapped out yourself, maybe at the end of a really long day? How do you protect your emotional capacity without seeming like a totally unsupportive jerk?
That's a delicate one. You need to protect your emotional energy, and it's absolutely okay, even necessary, to do so. A kind but firm response could be something like, wow, I'm so sorry you're having such a hard time. I can really hear that you're struggling right now. However, just being honest, I don't think I have the emotional capacity to really process this fully with you right now. It's been the end of a very long day and I'm feeling quite exhausted myself. Could we perhaps pick this up tomorrow morning when I'm more refreshed and can give you my full attention? Or maybe would you prefer I suggest someone else in the team who might be in a better space to listen right now?
Validates their feelings, but sets a clear boundary around your current capacity. Offers an alternative too.
Yes. Honesty delivered kindly is usually appreciated.
Okay, what about those unspoken rules, those subtle pressures? Like maybe there's a culture of not claiming legitimate hospitality expenses, even if it's an expectation that you take clients out and you end up covering it out of your own pocket.
Ah, the unwritten rules that cost you money. This hits your material boundaries and professional expectations. It's crucial not to let these drain your personal finances. You can state, perhaps to your manager or finance department, just to ensure proper accounting and fairness moving forward, I will be submitting claims for any lunches or dinners that I'm expected to have with prospective clients as part of my role. Alternatively, if that process is too cumbersome, perhaps the company could provide me with a company credit card or maybe arrange to pay the restaurant directly in advance for these specific client engagements.
Puts the onus back on the company system, makes it professional.
Exactly. It makes it clear you expect reimbursement for legitimate work-related expenses, shifting the burden back to the organization where it belongs.
Okay, last one. For people in freelancing, consulting, creative fields, being asked to work for free or just pick your brain endlessly without compensation, that's a constant battle. How do you politely but firmly say, nope, not doing that for free, while still trying to maintain a professional relationship?
Oh, this is incredibly important for self-worth and basic financial sustainability, especially for independent workers. You have several effective options, depending on the situation. You could ask directly, "Thank you for reaching out with this opportunity. Could you please confirm if this is a paid opportunity?"
Puts the ball in their court.
Yes. Or a more direct approach might be, "I really appreciate you thinking of me for this. It sounds interesting. However, I'm currently not taking on unpaid work at present, as my schedule is quite full with my existing paid projects."
Clear and professional.
Or if someone is trying to just pick your brain for free advice via DMs or email, you can offer a path to paid help. "I actually charge a flat fee for providing this kind of specialized advice, so I'm unable to answer detailed questions like this via direct messages. Here's a link to my calendar if you would like to book a paid consultation call with me where we can dive deeper."
Channels it into your actual service offering.
Precisely. My personal favorite, which combines appreciation with clarity, especially if it's like a request to speak at an event for free, is something like, "Thank you so much for reaching out to me and considering my expertise for your event. I'm genuinely flattered. I know you'll appreciate that as a professional in this field, I don't typically work for free. If you do manage to secure a budget for speakers for your event or project down the line, please don't hesitate to get back in touch. I'd potentially love to collaborate then."
Polite, appreciative, but absolutely firm on the no free work boundary.
Exactly. And all this really raises an important question for reflection, doesn't it? How often do we automatically say yes, maybe out of habit, or out of a fear of disappointing others or fear of conflict, rather than saying yes or no based on genuine intention and an honoring of our own capacity?
That fear of saying no is powerful.
It is. But saying no or setting a boundary isn't about being unhelpful or difficult. It's about honoring your own capacity, protecting your well-being, and ultimately ensuring you can actually show up effectively and sustainably for the things that truly matter in your life. It's a powerful act of self-preservation and self-respect.
Okay, so beyond the boundaries, our external shield and the in-the-moment mindfulness, our internal compass. Consistent self-care seems like the long game strategy, right? It's about building up that inner reservoir so you actually have something to draw from, rather than just constantly running on fumes and waiting for the tank to hit empty before you do anything.
Absolutely. Think of these as the non-negotiables, the foundational elements for preventing burnout in the first place and for sustaining your well-being over the long haul, regardless of what your work demands.
The foundations.
Yes. And the critical insight here is that these pillars aren't just about feeling good in the moment like pampering. They are intentional acts of self-preservation. They are about building the inner resilience that modern work, frankly, often tries to strip away. Your well-being isn't some kind of reward you get after you're productive. It's the fundamental foundation for sustained productivity and actually having a flourishing life.
Well-being as the foundation, not the reward. I like that. So what are these fundamental pillars? What truly fuels that inner reservoir?
First and foremost, perhaps the most basic, is sleep. We generally aim for 7 to 9 hours of quality rest per night. That's what most adults need for proper physical and cognitive recovery.
The magic 7 to 9 hours.
Right. But here's a crucial insight that often gets missed in the conversation. The consistency of your sleep hours and your bedtime is found to be just as important for our health, maybe even more so in some ways than the total number of hours slept.
Consistency over quantity sometimes.
Or at least equally important. Even if you find you can only realistically manage 6 or 7 hours each night, try really hard to make it the same 6 or 7 hours. Going to bed and waking up around the same time every day, yes, even on weekends, as much as possible.
The weekend lion trap.
Chuckles. Exactly. That regularity helps regulate your body's natural circadian rhythm, which is absolutely vital for mental clarity, mood regulation, energy levels, and overall physical health. It's like training your body to know when it's time to rest and recover and when it's time to be alert and active.
Okay, so aim for enough sleep, but really prioritize consistency.
Got it.
And I know nutrition plays a huge role in our energy levels, beyond just avoiding that 3 p.m. slump.
Absolutely. Nutrition plays a massive role in both our physical energy and our mood stability. Eating balanced meals, making sure you get a good mix of lean proteins, healthy fats, and fiber-rich carbohydrates helps to stabilize your blood sugar levels.
Avoid this sugar roller coaster.
Precisely. Stable blood sugar means stable energy levels throughout the day, and it significantly reduces irritability. Avoiding those drastic blood sugar swings can prevent those mid-afternoon energy crashes that leave you reaching for unhealthy coping mechanisms, like grabbing another sugary snack or too much caffeine, which just creates a vicious cycle. Think of your body as a high-performance vehicle. It needs the right kind of fuel to run well.
Good fuel in, good energy out. Makes sense. And we all know exercise is important, but how does it specifically help with burnout and stress management? Is it just about physical fitness, or is there more to it?
There's much more to it. Exercise is a powerful, often underutilized antidote to stress and a significant protector against burnout. Regular physical activity, and this doesn't mean you have to run marathons, even something as simple as a brisk 20-minute walk during your lunch break can significantly reduce stress hormones like cortisol.
Burns off the stress hormones.
Exactly. And at the same time, it boosts mood-enhancing neurotransmitters like endorphins and serotonin, those feel-good chemicals. Studies show that even getting around 5,000 steps a day is enough to help keep mild to moderate depression at bay for many people.
5,000 steps. That seems achievable.
It really is for most people. It's not about becoming an elite athlete or hitting the gym hardcore every single day unless you love that. It's about consistent movement. Moving your body regularly helps manage stress, improves your overall physiological state, boosts your mood, and gives your mind a much-needed break from cognitive demands. It's like physically shaking out the stress from your system.
Shake it out. Love it. And as we discussed earlier, isolation is both a common symptom and a cause of burnout, so maintaining strong social connections must be a crucial pillar of self-care too, right?
Without a doubt, it's absolutely fundamental. Humans are wired for connection. Having a supportive network provides a profound sense of belonging, it buffers stress, and it helps lighten our emotional burdens.
Knowing you're not alone.
Exactly. So make an effort to reach out to loved ones, friends, family, people you trust and feel good around. Prevent that isolation from setting in because isolation can critically worsen burnout. Even just a quick phone call, sharing a meal, or having a brief, meaningful conversation with someone you trust can make a world of difference. It reminds you that you're not alone and that you have a support system and identity outside of your work role.
So important to nurture those relationships. And finally, a big one that I think many people struggle with, especially when their job starts to consume their entire identity, that feeling that I am my job. How do we counter that?
That's it. That's where cultivating hobbies and interests outside of work comes in. It is absolutely vital to have an identity, to have interests that exist completely independently of your job title or your employer.
Something that's just for you.
Exactly. Engage in activities that bring you genuine joy and fulfillment, things you do just because you want to. These are what positive psychologists sometimes call low-stakes flow states.
Low-stakes flow states. Tell me more.
These are activities where you get so completely immersed that time seems to disappear. They bring you genuine pleasure and require sustained focus, but crucially, without the high-stakes pressure of work deliverables or external expectations.
Okay, examples.
Think of things like painting, playing a musical instrument even badly, gardening, trying a new recipe just for fun, building model kits, learning a new language purely for interest, doing a puzzle, maybe a craft like knitting or woodworking, anything where you get absorbed.
Getting lost in something enjoyable.
Yes. When you are fully absorbed in something you love, something that's just for you literally don't have the mental bandwidth to worry about work emails or deadlines. It's a powerful mental escape hatch and a way to nourish your soul, to remind yourself you're more than just your job. And this reinforces that crucial mantra, and I really want you, listening, to say it with me, maybe even out loud if you can. Your job is not your identity.
Your job is not your identity. It's such a powerful, necessary statement to internalize, isn't it? So, thinking about all these pillars, sleep, nutrition, exercise, connection, hobbies, what does this all mean for your ability to show up as your best self? Not just at work, but in your whole life.
It means everything. These pillars aren't just about feeling good. They're about empowering you to function at your optimal level, physically and mentally. They're about protecting your core self, your energy, your spirit, from being completely consumed and depleted by the demands of life and work. They build that resilience we keep talking about.
Okay, so we've covered mindfulness for inner calm, boundaries for external protection, and self-care for building our inner reservoir. Finally, let's touch on two crucial mental strategies that can really help redefine your relationship with work and significantly aid in preventing burnout. These are about internal shifts in perspective and also about leveraging your support network.
Right. The first is about actively working to reframe your perspective. This takes conscious effort, but it can be incredibly powerful. Instead of automatically viewing tasks or challenges at work as inevitable burdens or threats, try to consciously look for ways to see them as opportunities.
Opportunities, how so?
Opportunities for growth, perhaps, for learning a new skill, or maybe an opportunity to contribute something meaningful, even in a small way. This is a subtle but really powerful shift in mindset.
Finding the positive angle.
Finding the positive angle, or at least a neutral, growth-oriented one. You can also consciously focus on the positive aspects of your job, even the really small ones, a helpful colleague, a moment of satisfaction after finishing a tricky task, a nice view from your window. Acknowledge them, and crucially, break large, overwhelming projects down into smaller, more manageable pieces.
Chunking it down.
Exactly. Chunking it down makes things feel less daunting and much more achievable. And then this part is key. Celebrate the small victories along the way. Each completed mini-task, each small success builds momentum and fosters a sense of accomplishment, which actively counteracts that feeling of being perpetually overwhelmed and like you're getting nowhere. It's about cultivating an internal sense of progress and agency.
Okay, so reframing, focusing on positives, breaking tasks down, celebrating small wins. That's about changing your internal narrative. What's the second strategy? You mentioned it's often the hardest for people who feel this heavy sense of responsibility, the ones who prefer to just power through everything themselves.
That's the strategy of asking for help.
Sure.
This is so often seen as a weakness in our culture, especially in competitive work environments. But it is, in fact, a profound strength. It shows self-awareness and resourcefulness.
A strength, not a weakness.
Okay, absolutely. No one should ever feel like they have to handle everything entirely on their own. It's not sustainable, and it's not realistic. If you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're struggling, do not hesitate to seek support.
Where can people look for that support?
It could mean seeking professional therapy or counseling, which can provide valuable tools and perspective. It could mean talking to a trusted colleague or mentor at work, leaning on friends and family outside of work, or utilizing employee assistance programs, EAPs if your workplace offers them. They're often underutilized and can be very helpful. Feeling like you belong and that you have a support system you can turn to actively protects against burnout. Admitting you need assistance is a sign of self-awareness and proactive self-care, not weakness.
So important to remember that. And just on a practical day-to-day level, especially in our always-on culture, we really need to schedule in actual breaks, don't we? Like real breaks, not just eating lunch hunched over our keyboard while still typing.
Oh, absolutely. You must consciously take breaks and disconnect. In this always-on culture, it's so easy to feel constantly connected and obligated to be responsive 24/7. You have to intentionally schedule what I sometimes call oasis moments throughout your day.
Oasis moments, I like that.
It means actually taking your lunch break away from your desk. Even if it's just to step outside for 10 minutes and breathe some fresh air, go for that short walk around the block we mentioned to clear your mind. And be really disciplined about setting boundaries for checking emails and work messages after hours seriously. The work will still be there in the morning, 99% of the time.
The world won't end if you don't reply at 9 p.m.
Exactly. And crucially, plan regular vacations or even just staycations. Don't just hoard your paid time off like a badge of honor. Use it to fully recharge, to properly step away from the demands and mental space of work, and to remember who you are outside of that job title.
Use your vacation time. Revolutionary idea. Okay, and finally, connecting back to that sense of purpose and meaning, which can feel so elusive when you're feeling burned out and cynical, how can we maybe reignite that?
Yes, this is about tapping back into motivation. Look for opportunities to shine, or maybe just opportunities to contribute in ways that feel meaningful to you. Feeling recognized and valued is essential fuel for preventing burnout and reigniting that inner spark.
How do you find those opportunities?
You might need to actively seek them out. Are there ways you can add unique value at work, maybe by taking on a small part of a new project that genuinely excites you? Or perhaps look outside work. Could you volunteer for a cause you really care about, even just for an hour a week? Or simply offer to help a struggling colleague with something you're good at. These actions can provide a renewed sense of meaning and purpose.
Contributing and feeling appreciated.
Exactly. Feeling appreciated for your efforts, including those that might be outside of your direct job description, goes a long, long way towards sustaining your energy and motivation. And here's a bonus tip. Make it a habit to take time to recognize others for their efforts, too. Giving genuine appreciation can often be as rewarding and mood-boosting as receiving it. It creates this positive feedback loop in your environment.
Pay forward.
Yeah. So ultimately, all these strategies, reframing, asking for help, taking breaks, seeking Meaning, this is really about working smarter, not just harder. It's about actively protecting your core self, ensuring your well-being isn't sacrificed at the altar of endless, unfulfilling productivity.
Now, while a lot of this deep dive is rightly focused on individual action, what you can do to protect yourself, it's also absolutely critical to acknowledge that the systemic factors within our workplaces play a huge, often underestimated role in either causing or preventing burnout.
That's a crucial point. It can't all be on the individual's shoulders.
Right. And surprisingly, maybe technology, which sometimes feels like the very source of our constant connection and overwhelm, can actually be a powerful ally in preventing burnout if it's wielded correctly by organizations.
That's absolutely true. It's not just about what individuals can do. It's about creating an ecosystem of support within the organization. And innovative digital tools, when they're thoughtfully implemented, can genuinely help organizations address this pressing issue of burnout. They can help create a more supportive, more humane work environment.
Which ultimately benefits everyone.
Exactly. It enhances productivity, fosters innovation, improves retention, and ultimately boosts profitability. These tools can help leaders recognize the early warning signs of burnout across teams, allowing them to intervene proactively rather than just reactively, after someone's already hit the wall.
Okay, so how exactly does technology help in practice? What are some specific examples that go beyond just, say, basic project management software?
Well, one key area is monitoring workload and time management more intelligently. As we discussed, overwhelming or poorly managed workloads are a primary contributor to burnout.
Right, that lack of control and overload.
Exactly. So digital scheduling and sophisticated project management tools can assist teams in efficiently organizing tasks, setting much clearer priorities, and transparently tracking progress. But this isn't just for reporting upwards. It allows managers to actually visualize team capacity in real time.
You see who's overloaded.
Precisely. And then they can allocate tasks more strategically based on employees' actual skill sets, their current availability, even their location or time zone, preventing that undue burden that so often leads to burnout. Imagine being able to see visually on a dashboard that one team member is deep in the red zone for workload this week, and being able to easily reassign a less urgent task to someone with more capacity.
That kind of transparency is huge.
It's a potential game changer for workload distribution. It optimizes time management for everyone involved, helps employees maintain a healthier work-life balance, and ensures they actually have breathing room for rest and recuperation.
So it's not just about tracking productivity metrics. It's about using tech to enable well-being through more intelligent resource allocation. That makes sense. And I know there are also platforms focused directly on mental health support now. How do those integrate into an organizational strategy against burnout?
Yes, that's another vital aspect.
Yeah.
Technology used for directly promoting mental health and well-being. Digital wellness platforms are becoming more common, offering employees access to a whole suite of resources. Things like guided meditation sessions, relaxation exercises, mindfulness training, stress reduction techniques.
Available on demand?
Exactly. Employees can access them anytime, anywhere, privately, on their own terms. Integrating these tools into the daily workflow, maybe encouraging short mindfulness micro breaks, can help individuals manage stress in the moment, improve their focus, and cultivate a more positive mindset over time.
And access to professionals, too.
Yes. Furthermore, many forward-thinking companies and even some insurance plans are now offering easier access to virtual mental health counseling services. This allows employees to seek confidential professional support from therapists or counselors, removing significant barriers like travel time, needing to take time off work for appointments, scheduling conflicts, or even just the perceived stigma of walking into a therapist's office.
Makes help more accessible.
Much more accessible. These platforms ensure that mental health resources are not just theoretically available, but also genuinely accessible and hopefully increasingly destigmatized, fostering a culture where seeking help is seen as normal and supported.
Okay, so technology can definitely play a positive role. Yeah. But beyond the tools, what does truly supportive leadership look like in this fight against burnout? It sounds like it requires more than just implementing a new app. It needs a strategic, fundamental commitment from the very top down, right? Not just a once-a-year check-the-box wellness initiative.
It absolutely has to be a strategic imperative. Preventing burnout isn't solely an individual burden, it's a shared responsibility. It requires intentional, proactive action and deep accountability from both employees and the organization's leadership. For leaders, it really starts with asking themselves some critical, maybe uncomfortable questions honestly and regularly to assess their current approach to addressing burnout-related challenges within their teams and the wider organization. This is where the rubber truly meets the road.
Okay, like what sort of questions, what should leaders be asking themselves? Maybe their next leadership team meeting.
Well, first and fundamentally, they must ask, do we genuinely treat employee mental health and well-being as a strategic priority for this business?
Strategic priority, not just an HR issue.
Exactly. This isn't just about having an annual wellness day or putting up a poster in the break room. It means dedicating consistent resources, integrating mental health metrics into leadership, key performance indicators, KPIs.
Tying it to performance.
Yes. Making it a standing item on board agendas. Recognizing explicitly that a thriving, mentally healthy workforce is directly correlated with a more productive, more innovative, and more resilient workforce. It's about leading with both empathy and clear business strategy.
Okay. What else should they be asking? What about those negative interpersonal dynamics we talked about earlier?
Right. Leaders must then ask, do we effectively address toxic behaviors when they arise? This refers to proactively identifying and addressing things like office bullies, micromanagers who suffocate autonomy and trust, or individuals who consistently create a negative, draining atmosphere. It means having clear policies against such behaviors and, crucially, consistently enforcing them. It requires creating a respectful, psychologically safe environment where conflicts are resolved constructively, not just allowed to fester and silently poison the well.
Psychological safety, that's key. And fostering an environment where everyone feels like they belong, where they can actually grow.
Absolutely crucial. Leaders need to ask, do we actively create inclusive work environments? An inclusive environment ensures everyone feels like they belong, that their unique voice is heard and valued, which is itself a powerful protective factor against burnout. It fosters that sense of psychological safety we just mentioned. And building on that, they must ask, do we truly enable individual growth? This means providing genuine opportunities for learning, for development, for skill acquisition, and for taking on new, engaging challenges, preventing that boredom and stagnation that, as we discussed, can also lead to burnout. It's about investing in your people's potential.
And sustainable work practices.
Yeah.
That seems essential to avoiding that U-curve we talked about, preventing people from constantly hitting that breaking point.
Indeed. So the question becomes, do we actively promote sustainable work? This ties directly back to that 48-hour-ish threshold we uncovered. Are leaders setting realistic expectations regarding working hours, overall workload, and the resources provided to do the job? Are they ensuring that employees aren't constantly pushed beyond their physiological and psychological limits just to keep up? This requires active monitoring and management, not just hopeful thinking or praising people for working themselves into the ground.
And holding leaders accountable for this.
Yes, that's the next critical question. Are we actually holding our leaders accountable for fostering these healthy environments? It's not enough to simply have nice policies on paper. Leaders, managers at all levels must be evaluated perhaps as part of their performance reviews on how well they cultivate a healthy work environment, manage workloads effectively, and support their teams to prevent burnout. Their ability to do this needs to be recognized and rewarded or addressed if they fail.
Making it part of their job description, essentially. And tackling this stigma around mental health that still feels like such a huge, often invisible hurdle in many workplaces. So many people suffer in silence.
It is perhaps the most pervasive cultural barrier we face in this area, so leaders must ask, are we effectively tackling the stigma around mental health in our workplace culture? This means actively creating a culture where it's not just acceptable, but genuinely encouraged for people to talk openly about mental health struggles, to ask for help without fear, and to take time off for mental well-being without facing judgment, career repercussions, or being labeled as weak or not committed. It's about normalizing the conversation from the top down.
Normalizing vulnerability.
Precisely. And finally, a practical question. Do our existing resources truly serve employee needs? Are the wellness platforms we offer, the employee assistance programs, the support systems we have in place, are they genuinely accessible? Are they relevant to the diverse needs of our workforce? And most importantly, are they actually used? Or do barriers still exist?
Really evaluating effectiveness.
Yes. Because if we connect all this to the bigger picture, companies that embrace digitization, not just for raw productivity tracking, but with an intentional focus on enabling employee well-being, and that prioritize these kinds of leadership commitments and accountability, they can dramatically boost employee engagement, satisfaction, and retention. This doesn't just improve employees' lives, which is reason enough, but it also leads directly to a more productive, more innovative, and ultimately a more profitable and sustainable organization. It truly is a win-win for everyone involved when done right.
Wow, we have covered so much ground today. We journeyed through those subtle yet often devastating signs of burnout, from that deep chronic fatigue and maybe increased irritability to that profound loss of motivation that can just strip away your joy in work and life.
The key early warnings.
We uncovered the surprising science behind optimal working hours, understanding that sweet spot around 48 hours for many, but variable before that U-shaped curve of depression really starts to kick in. And recognizing how much that threshold varies for different groups of people, reminding us there's no single, simple, one-size-fits-all solution here.
That nuance is so important.
Then we explore those powerful practical mindfulness techniques that you can use right now, today, to help calm your mind and focus your attention, even when chaos is swirling around you.
Tools for inner peace.
We learned how to set those essential boundaries, mental, time, emotional, physical, and more, to protect your personal energy and your space. And we armed you with specific, actionable words, those scripts you can use when you need to say no professionally and kindly, which is often so hard.
Building that external shield.
We saw how crucial both personal self-care is, things like consistent sleep, balanced nutrition, regular movement, and deliberately cultivating hobbies, and how robust organizational support, even through innovative technology and truly empathetic, accountable leadership, can make a world of difference.
Individual and systemic approaches working together.
It really feels like it's about recognizing the problem first, understanding its many complex layers, the personal, the scientific, the organizational, and then actively, intentionally building your own resilience toolkit, one step, one practice at a time.
Beautifully summarized. And I think the key takeaway here is that the journey to preventing burnout or recovering from it, it's not about reaching some kind of static destination. It's not like you suddenly arrive at a place where you're cured of all stress forever, like you've landed on some blissful, stress-free island.
Circles, if only.
Right. Instead, it's much more about cultivating a continuous ongoing practice. A practice of self-awareness, really tuning in to those signals your body and mind are sending you. A practice of deep self-compassion, being kind to yourself when you're struggling, not beating yourself up. And a practice of consistent self-advocacy, using your voice to set those boundaries and ask for the support you need.
A continuous practice.
Yes. It's about regularly checking in with yourself, recognizing those early signals we talked about, and proactively applying the strategies we've discussed today, adapting them as needed. Remember, your well-being isn't just some personal luxury you attend to if you have time. It is the fundamental foundation for everything else you contribute to your work, yes, but also to your relationships, your community, your life.
The foundation.
Absolutely. Prioritize your health, nurture that inner reservoir, protect your energy, and you'll simply be better equipped to show up as your best, most authentic, most effective self in all areas of life. In fact, I'd go so far as to argue that taking care of our own mental health is, in a very real sense, our civic duty.
Civic duty. That's a strong statement. Explain that.
Well, when we are well, when we are whole, when we're not depleted and running on empty, we are simply better equipped to contribute positively to our families, to our communities, to our workplaces. We have more patience, more creativity, more empathy, more capacity to solve problems and support others. It creates this powerful ripple effect of positive change outwards from ourselves. So protecting our own well-being isn't selfish. It enables us to be better citizens of the world.
Wow. Taking care of yourself is a civic duty. That's a really powerful reframe to end on. Thank you. We truly hope this deep dive today has provided you, our listener, with valuable insights and, more importantly, some practical strategies you can actually use. Please don't feel like you need to implement everything we talked about all at once, or that you have to do it perfectly from day one.
Absolutely not. Start small.
Start small. Pick just one or two techniques or ideas that really resonated most deeply with you from today's conversation. Maybe it's mindful breathing. Maybe it's setting one specific boundary around email. Maybe it's just scheduling a walk at lunchtime. Try it out consistently for a week or two. See how it feels. Remember, you have more agency than you probably think in shaping your experience and protecting your peace. Thank you so much for joining us on this essential exploration of finding peace and effectively managing job stress.
Thank you for listening. Be well.